And then this week, Impact is matches announced. We got AEW matches announced. We have Cody versus Angelico. That should be good. Those two do not like each other. I forget, how did this start about? Was it like one of them attacked him, or is this just a random match?
I know, and Hybrid 2, all their interactions were with the Young Bucks.
Right.
And Top Flight. So I think it's one of those, man, that's actually an old school way of like, you have these two random fighters, but like their storylines attached to them. I like it. I mean, it might be a really good match. I think that's how this feud is. I don't think there was any interaction because I know Cody, he's been feuding with Team Taz and everything. So
True.
it hasn't been, I think it's just one of those things like, because there's so many storylines that are intertwined, it's like, oh, they fought. Oh, wait, they never fought.
Right. It's the first time.
Oh. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The only one I'm not looking forward to is that 7-on-7 tag match.
The 3-on-3 tag match? I mean, Hangman Page and Dark Orders?
It's a 7-man tag. It's the Inner Circle versus, I know Brandon Cutler is because I don't know if you've seen the tweet that he sent out this morning.
No.
He got a lot of heat from it. A lot of heat.
Okay.
He got it from, of course, Jim Cornette, and he got it from one of the FTR, Dash. It was very condescending and arrogant. And it was in response to Jim Ross's last podcast where he said, hey, there's too many flips. You know, you guys have these 6-man tag matches, and then all 6 guys just stand there waiting to catch someone. He's like, that looks goofy. You know, it's a trapeze act. It isn't, you know, it doesn't go with the storyline. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So Brandon Cutler, when he tweets, yeah, man, paraphrase, Tuesday or Wednesday, Dynamite, 7 p.m. Central. Yeah, we're going to, you know, stand together like coils and do a bunch of flips. And then we're going to stand there and catch each other. And then the last thing he says was, hopefully we get 1 million, you know, it's in front of 1 million viewers. And you're like, what? Yeah, it's like, that's very like, dude, Jim Ross has been in the industry for over 30 years. It's like, dude, you're a jobber on AEW Dark. And, you know, of course, the backlash is, hey, he's only there because, you know, he's good friends with the Young Bucks and stuff like that. And it really took away from the buzz that AEW was getting from yesterday, from Kenny Omega's appearance at AAA and, you know, his interaction with Ken Anderson. I wouldn't say it took away the whole thing, but it really dampened, like, man, we want to support this company, but dude, this dude just dissed like Jim Ross. You know, Dax, he's like, you know, it's interesting. Someone would disregard and just blatantly mock someone that's been in the industry longer than you. That's called the most lucrative times in wrestling, and you want to just, yeah, we know what we're doing. All right. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised if AEW gets about 800,000, where they lose like 100,000 because of that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they stay at 900. Okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if they lose anywhere between like that 40,000, maybe even 100,000, because that, man, if you search it up, just search Brandon Cutler on Twitter.
Yeah.
You'll see it and you're just like, what the, like, dude, this is so condescending. So, yeah, not a lot of people are going to be watching that match. I don't think so. I think they're probably going to flip the NXT, and then once the match over, go back to AEW.
We'll see. I mean, there's also the match you had talked about, which was the 14-man. The Inner Circle faces the Best Friends, Top Flight, Varsity Blondes, and Brandon Cutler. You have the NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb and Big Swole team up to take on Ivelisse and Diamante. Hangman Page with John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. And SCU, Kazarian and Daniels face the Acclaimed.
At first, it's funny because they took a shot like, hey, haven't we seen this rapper gimmick before?
Right.
It's funny. But man, I've watched a few of their matches on Dark. They're really, really good. It's crazy because those young tag teams have better pacing than some of these tag teams that have been in AEW for over a year.
Right.
Like their pacing, their timing, their fluidity. Of course, they still need, they still have those habits where they're flipping and stuff like that.
All right.
But their fluidity is a lot tighter than some of these so-called veterans and
That's
stuff
true.
like that. So I mean that should be a really good match. That women's tag match might be the match of the night.
And then we have the Kenny Omega will defend against Joey Janela in a world title eliminator match. So Joey Janela reappears on Dynamite.
And he's gonna have, I think, Sonny Kiss. There's something that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen. But that's the thing with AEW, you don't know what's gonna close the show.
No.
I mean, I hope it's not the 7-man tag. I hope they start that off right away. Like, please start that at the beginning of the Dynamite so we can get that out the way and get on to the next stuff. Plus, you got Sting coming up. He's gonna be appearing, and we don't know where he's coming from, what he's gonna do, and things like that. So, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, and you still got the Shawn Spears thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he is feuding with Scorpio Sky, so I don't know if that's one of their storylines they're waiting to bring on later once they consolidate a few other storylines and stuff like that. So I mean, it's gonna be a really good show, but that stupid Brandon Cutler tweet, man, I'm like, oh, this freaking idiot.
What did he say exactly?
A few articles have tweeted about it. WrestlingInc.com. They actually posted the story and everything. So basically, what JR said in his podcast, Brandon Cutler put it in his tweet, but it came across very mocking and condescending.
Right.
And it was just like very like it wasn't. If he was trying to be funny and snarky, he freaking missed. Like it was not funny or snarky, And like I tweeted to Jonathan Hood of the Tuesday Night Podcast, wrestling podcast. I'm like, what caught me was like, hopefully we get one, hopefully in front of 1 million. I'm like, someone who's behind a promotion that has major momentum, they don't tweet hopefully in front of 1 million. They tweet, hey, it's going to be in front of a lot of viewers. They don't like, what the hell is, and right away I took that as like, man, you still got that indie mentality. Like you don't have that major, yo, I'm on TNT. This is the second promotion that's competing with, WWE. We're about to head into this big storyline. Like, hey, let's go. You still have this indie promotion. I hope we get 1 million viewers. It's like, dude, like, and like I shared with a few of my colleagues that, the first year of AEW, I knew there was going to be guys that, hey, we're along and everything. But after the first year, once they grow and like they're at the point where now they're going to that next level, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of guys that they're not going to have around.
Yeah. No, the roster will change dramatically in 2021. I agree as well.
And not only that, but just backstage, like Brandon Cutler is the executive producer of digital content. So it's like, not only are you a wrestler, you're an executive producer of digital content and you tweet this out. Like, I don't care if you're in character or like, even if you're in character, you don't tweet this. Like, I would expect a tweet from like that from MJF. Like, he's notorious for, it's like, okay, that's MJF, but it's like, dude, you really? Nah, come on, man. This is bad taste. I could see them getting 800. I could still see them get, 900, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a drop because of that tweet. And that could be the main reason, that tweet. If he didn't tweet that, I could probably see them, they might not get 995,000. They might get maybe 960,000 or something like that. But yeah, that tweet was so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're checking it up now, but
I am. I just looked at it.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. The world is watching is what you better say, something like that. Like the world's watching us.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you, and the Tuesday Wrestling Tonight podcast with Jonathan Hood, he tweeted, he's like, hey, this is the stuff that, deters people from watching your product.
Right. It's like you could take the wrestler out of the independent circuit, Can't take the independent circuit out of the wrestler.
Exactly. And you know what? You can see the difference in the 1 year that AEW's existed. You can see the wrestlers who were from the independent circuit who've grown, and you can see the guys from the independent circuit that are still that independent circuit. Joey Janela's one. Sonny Kiss is one. And that's his gimmick is very unique. It's authentic. But one of my critiques, and you've probably seen it in my reviews, I'm like, brother, you're not showing no intensity or like aggression.
Right.
You're okay. It doesn't care about your sex. Like, I don't care about your sexuality, but dude, show some aggression,
right?
Some intensity. And it's just, it's very clunky and just.
I think he's good for certain shows. I just don't think he was ready for the AEW.
Yeah, I mean, he's good for Dark.
Right.
Dynamite. No. And I think that's something that AEW's learned. Like, there's certain wrestlers that are good for Dynamite. I mean, yeah, for Dynamite. And then there's certain wrestlers that are good for Dark. And I think that's where, they're seeing the separation and everything. It's no different than in WCW. Dark before he got on Dynamite. So, you just see the growth. I mean, look at Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin.
Right.
Those guys were indie guys, but look at where they've gone, and they were pretty much at the same level as like Jurassic Express, Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, all those guys, even Private Party. All those guys, you see the separation. Like, even Private Party, when they were in the ring last time, you just seen them go to, okay, they're going to another level. Like, the Butcher and the Blade, they were synonymous with the independent scene. Gone to another level. Like I said, we're probably going to see, I don't want to say an exodus, but you're probably going to see a lot of guys that were with AEW from the start.
Yeah.
Go to like Potter or go to MLW.
I like Pentagon and Phoenix. I think they deserve more of an opportunity to be on Dynamite. They've come out strong, wrestled each other in a crazy match, but they were getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And so what do you think AEW can do to bring them back in? Obviously, they've joined Eddie Kingston. They're split apart from Eddie Kingston's group.
Yeah.
They've gotten everything. They're teaming with Pac. Do you think they're going to go anywhere? Because that's been a big disappointment for me, is that they're not even in the tag team title picture. They've not even gotten since their run with the Young Bucks over the AAA titles. They haven't even gotten a shot at the AEW championship, tag team championships, and just seem forgotten.
Yeah,
they were not tag team.
I think
in 2019.
They were in a weird spot. Because I know a lot of the COVID cases that whether they were close to somebody or they did have COVID, it kind of reshuffled their whole storytelling. The unfortunate thing is Penta, he's actually injured. He injured his leg, and the last Dynamite, when he went through the table, that was their way of like putting him off to the side. Man, those two guys remind me of like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Just how that's how they are. So I think it's an opportunity for Rey Fenix to man, I would like to see him and Darby Allin go at it for the TNT Championship. I think that's what they really need to really improve on, is the challengers for the TNT title.
Right.
I think they need to use that title for like you could say your cross between your cruiserweights and your
mid card.
Have that hybrid, and I would say they actually should start legitimizing the FTW title and have that as your big man title.
Yes.
Like, this is anybody can get this title. Like, this is just treat it like almost like a hybrid of the open weight title. I think was it New Japan or Impact has it? Man,
titles in New Impact.
There you go. Yeah, so the X Division title and like the hardcore title, keep it like that, where it's just like that. But yeah, the Lucha Brothers, I mean, they were dope and everything, and I think what it is with them getting lost in the shuffle, and I hope it's not the case, but I don't know if it's nepotism or hey, well, I want to give you a shot because this is like, look, whoever's drawing, this who goes on. It's like
Right.
whoever putting on quality performance that, hey, you may not draw, but if we put you on there, hey, they're gonna start tweeting like, hey, man, I really like this match. I really, and that's what's, happening. So, it's unfortunate Penta's injured, but hey, Pac and, Ray Phoenix, that ain't a bad tag team.
No.
That's a pretty dope tag team. I think that's what I like about AEW, that even if like one of their tag teams suffers an injury, you can put them with somebody else and that could be a tag team.
Yeah.
So it's so much, flexibility with their roster.
The NXT, they announced some new roster signings.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a performance? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Performance center. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you have Desmond from Impact Wrestling.
okay.
He went to Impact Wrestling. You have a guy named Alex Zane. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is amazing. You are?
Yeah. It's, man, those signings, man, it's weird because like right now with everything that's happening, and it's not comparing, saying that WWE is going to counter what AEW, NWA, New Japan's doing. They can bring in all these talents and everything, but what's unfortunate is that when they bring someone into NXT and they become a star, it's like after a while they become stale because either, again, 50-50 booking. It's like you build a star and then it's just, all right, whatever. It's something I mentioned on the Wrestling Talk podcast, that if you look at all three, like Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, like outside of like the top draws, there's really not that many people you want to actually see.
Right.
Like they may put on a good match. Okay, yeah, it's a good match. But do you watch to watch a good match, or do you watch because this is an interesting character?
Right.
Right now they have what Karrion Kross came back. Finn Balor's there. And that's the thing. If you look at the draw or the special attraction that Ciampa and Gargano had, when they had their matches, which were, man, they're good. Their draw has like dropped. They're another poke in the wheel. Damian Priest, he's got that push, but then after a while, it's just a revolving cycle. Hey, this person's top. Oh, this one. And, my concern with that is WWE, since they've gone head to head live with AEW, they're sending mixed messages to like the audience. Hey, we're the third brand. When they win, yeah, we're the third brand. And, we have these up and coming stars and they're the next superstars of the WWE. And then when they lose, oh, we're development center and, we're developing new stars. And, it's like, are you the third brand or are you development? Like, which one are you?
Right.
And I think that's it's not affecting them now, but you can see the crack where it's starting to trickle in. They did decent numbers and stuff like that, but, I hope all those wrestlers that sign, I hope nothing but the best for them. And, they get the exposure. But I mean, the track record that WWE has with NXT and the wrestlers, unless you're a Triple H favorite, it's not that good.
But it's also Triple H is, bad guys, and they come to the main roster, and then they're left doing nothing.
Yeah.
And how is Bobby Roode still with WWE? Like, you haven't seen him at all.
Yeah, he's teaming with Dolph Ziggler, and it's like, that like, really? And it's sad because a lot of the individual characters that they're looking for, they have them, but they've taken away the characteristics and the attributes and the aspects of them that we got invested in them. You don't want to get invested. Like Shinsuke Nakamura. I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, you look at Roman Reigns. He's feuding with Kevin Owens, right? The one thing that nobody's really keying in on is that most of the people that can feud with Roman Reigns, he's already fought like for the last 3 years.
Right.
So it's nothing new. It may be new because he's a heel, but the match is kind of going to be the same.
Right.
And they're still teasing and dragging on, the Usos fully being with Roman. At first I liked it when, hey, I'm the tribal chief. But then if Jey Uso doesn't do something wrong, you're hitting him with the chair, and it's like there's only one person. I could see if it's like 10 people.
Right.
Also, it's one person. Like, this is so stupid. It's storytelling 101. An antagonist needs a great protagonist.
Yeah.
What's the point of having Joker if you don't have Batman, Superman, the Flash? Like, you need someone to root for.
Right.
And, they don't have the perfect guy that I could see feud with Roman Reigns if he was still a top guy on their roster is Shinsuke Nakamura from 2 years ago. Yeah. That would be the perfect, you tie in that, hey, he eliminated him for the Royal Rumble. You have it there, but you've dragged Shinsuke Nakamura so down in 50-50 booking that it's going to be hard for people to get excited about it and, get behind him and stuff like that. So, I mean, they got a lot of work. The WWE, I honestly, I don't think they need to be worrying about AEW or NW. They need to worry about themselves and focus on themselves. They have major issues. One thing I brought up on the Wrestling Talk podcast, the one thing that WWE needs to be aware of is that a lot of stuff that they've been doing is kind of like outdated. Like even the Raw and SmackDown name, when you mention it, you think of Raw, you think of John Cena, Randy Orton, Evolution. You got to think generation. That's what people, that aspect. And then when you think of SmackDown, Eddie Guerrero, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, that's what you think of it. For me and you, hell no, we think of Stone Cold, The Rock, that aspect. So when you mention Raw and SmackDown, it isn't like, oh, excited. It's like, oh yeah, I see that. Oh yeah, they had, it's passe. And WWE was always ahead of the curve, not, behind it.
Right.
So that's where they really need to freshen up. I pitched this idea many times that what they should do is rebrand Raw and SmackDown and call the Raw brand the World brand and call the SmackDown brand the Universal brand. And you have to portray it like the NFL has their different conferences, the NBA has their different conferences, and have it that way. Like, hey, these are two different leagues, and they're competing, and everything's gonna lead to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And whoever's the top dog, the champions meet, and they're the WWE champion, for that year. Make it make sense. And I think that's what WWE is lacking. And of course, I know whoever watches, oh, you guys are ragging WWE. It's like, well, their product deserves it. They need to stop being so entertainment centric, and they kind of need to get back to the sports centric side. Recently I just did an article on reviewing the 1989 of WWF and NWA, and if you watch Saturday night's main event, one thing that they should bring back, and this caught my eye right away, is that when their backstage segments were to the point. Right. So like on Raw, what's the biggest complaint about Raw and SmackDown? Freaking backstage segments are, hi, I'm here, I'm such and such, and I'm here with the WWE World Champion, Seth Rollins. It's not, the inflection, the energy is not there.
Right.
You go back to the Saturday Night Main Event in like 1989, Mean Gene Okerlund, I'm here with such and such, and this person, and they would interview them right before they would go to the ring.
Right.
So it's like, ooh, so they have that energy. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, they said they were going to do this. Oh, they're fighting now. Oh, man. It's the little things that you do that leading into that. I was watching, it was a Superstars of Wrestling right before WrestleMania 3. And you remember the whole Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man storyline, right? Where he hit him with the bell and everything.
Yes.
So, man, Mean Gene Okerlund was a G, man. That dude was a gangster as far as the mic. So what he did was, the incident happened. So Vince goes back to Mean Gene Okerlund. His inflection and his demeanor changed. Like everything changed. He's like, yes, I'm here. And man, it does not look good. They rushed him out to the hospital. He couldn't breathe. They put the oxygen mask on him. It was just very heartbreaking for this athlete, and we hope for the best. But man, it did not look good. and the Macho Man comes in, man, all this energy, just yeah. And as soon as Macho Man comes in, Minji's like, "And you despicable! How do you do this? How do you do that?" And Macho Man cuts his promo, and then Bruno Sammartino comes in, and he's just angry, and they just start fighting.
Right.
And I'm like, that's what WWE needs to get back to. It's little things like that. The energy for your product isn't there. It's just, man. So sorry going on that tangent, but that's it.
Oh, it's fine.
Fine,
man. That was my last point I was going to bring up to you anyway. Just circle back, but I think that obviously all three brands have stuff to work on. NXT, WWE, and I think that once the fans are back, you get that more natural feedback. I think that will help them determine because that's the thing. It's like we hear the Vince McMahon saying that a Keith Lee is now needs more work. But now everybody else says he's fine. And I see Otis. Yes, Otis definitely needs more work. But Keith Lee's on a different spectrum, in my opinion, may have his talents. And it's also the fact that Vince McMahon doesn't have the live audience to gauge how his superstars are being received.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I noticed when the pandemic started, that they kept having these, like you probably seen in my reviews, like the Miz, like these talk segments. I'm like, there's nobody there. You have a virtual screen, and you have this stupid crowd noise that sounds like bees buzzing and like freaking somebody left a box fan, going on. It's like, you have to pick up the intensity. And it's more simple storytelling psychology. Like, if you're trying to make it believable, it's like, look, the guys can't travel. They have to be stuck in one arena. It's a pandemic. We don't know how long this is going to be. We got to take these tests and everything. I don't know. Maybe most of these wrestlers would be agitated. They would have more aggression. Like, hey, I want to be the world champ because, hey, I don't know what the future holds for me. I don't know if there's going to. You see what I'm saying? It's simple psychology. And, they have, the Miz TV, when that whole angle with Mandy and Otis. And I remember when it went down, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because my dad, he walked by and he looks at me like, hey, I was like, if I wasn't doing a review, I would turn the channel right now. Right. I'm like, this is so. I'm like, oh my God. And, it goes back to not comparing it to AEW, but it's just the energy. Like, man, you don't even have the energy that you had during the New Generation era. When it was Doink and Bret Hart and all these, it's just dry.
I know.
It's like, cut the segments out, get more intense. Like, hey, we want to, get back to, okay, hey, I want to get this spot in the card because I know it's going to make more money. Not so much as real, but just the story. Like, hey, I want a main event. That, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's little things like that they've lost in their storytelling. It's like the wrestlers. They want the wrestlers to focus on the story, but not, think forward. Like, hey, hey, I want to be the last segment on Raw because, hey, I'm the top dog here. I'm the top tag team. Oh no, you're not the top tag team. Oh, you know what? Let's show it.
Right.
Simple. And I think that's what WWE should improve on, and that's on all three brands. Is just keep things simple. I think for over 20 years they've gone so far and beyond as far as being so peculiar and just perfectionist. Right. Yeah, we got to high grade. It's like you lost the little things. Storytelling, and it's. I don't know how many matches I've seen on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT where somebody's diving through the rope, and I'm like, can you work on a body part, please? Like, and that's something that, it annoys me. I don't know if it annoys you, but it's like you have so many wrestlers with different styles, but yet all wrestle the same style. Like, if you really look at it, if you watch a Sasha Banks match, an Asuka match, and a Naomi, and I know she hasn't been on TV and everything. Mind you, they're mostly faces, right? They have the same moves.
Right.
You look at a Bayley, you look at a Charlotte, Who else? Natalia.
Mhm.
It's it's crazy. The protagonists have the same moves, and the antagonists have the same moves. And I think that's where WWE needs to improve on. It's like, hey,
Yes.
guys need to be different. Like, they can't be the same.
I know.
Like Roman Reigns.
If they don't allow them to be different, then they never will get there, and that's why I think it's hindering them in the
Yeah,
long run.
like Roman Reigns' heel character, it's awesome. You believe it, but to where it's going is where I'm concerned because it's almost going towards like the Stone Cold Alliance, two-man power trip angle, where it's just like, it's like, okay, this is kind of getting corny. And of course, a lot of fans, no, he's giving a great promo. It's like, okay, he's giving a great promo, but he has a limited, fresh guys to work with, and it's coming off kind of cheesy now.
True.
Like I pitched this idea on Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm like, if he's the tribal chief, have him win every heavyweight title in the WWE.
Right.
If he's quoted it, he's the top dog. This is my yard. I think that's something that might happen in 2021. That because of this AEW, this territory thing that's going on, I think we might see the end of the Grand Extension.
Yeah.
I think so, and I think it's needed. I think there should be one tag team championship,
right?
One women's championship, and you're probably going to have both heavyweight titles defended on both, if not one. I think they might just bring it to one, which would be freaking awesome. But yeah, the Roman Reigns character, that's what I really am concerned about.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like a heel version of Cena, where Cena as a face, he was cool, and then he just got predictable.
Right.
And with Roman Reigns, I see it. It's like, okay, he's cool, but this kind of isn't starting to be fresh. It's kind of going down, being predictable. And that's not a good thing because it's like, if you got AEW building their new stars and they're getting this Bullet Club, that's the worst thing. Like, I don't see you having another Stone Cold coming up with a 316 thing to save you.
But WWE has their audience. It has the family audience. They have their diehards that only watch WWE. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's been like that.
There will always be a demand for WWE, and that's why they always will be around.
Yeah.
They appeal to a more casual audience, the families, the children.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that is
especially when you go to a WWE house show.
Oh yeah.
It's all for the family and kids.
You know what?
Faces go over all the time. The heels.
WWE house shows. I've said that the last one I went to was, the one that they had at the United Center in Chicago. And my buddy Julio, we were there, and we both said it. We're like, dude, this house show is better than Raw and SmackDown. Like, this is better than the live TV.
Right.
And his girlfriend, she said, yeah, because they don't talk a lot.
Right.
And I'm like, man, if they want to know what they should do, gauge the house shows. And it's unfortunate because I know they gave word that they're probably going to, when things go back, where people can go to the arenas and stuff, they're probably not going to do live shows, live events. And it's like, I hope you get this together because, man, this is not looking
right.
good.
And that the house shows were crucial for them to gauge, is this feud working? Because they would test the feuds on there before they would bring it to the pay-per-view, and you know what I mean. The way for them, keep the wrestlers separate on TV, but they, have them wrestle. And sometimes we get a preview of their pay-per-view matches, and it was just good to gauge it. And they don't have that anymore. And the wrestlers are also missing out because they don't have the money from the house shows.
Yeah, like I've always said, once they went to the Thunderdome and stuff like that, and I was thinking that they were gonna keep like certain wrestlers, in a live crowd. And I'm like, man, they need to put some wrestlers in that crowd.
I agree. Just like NXT has some wrestlers, yeah.
Because with just the screens, it's like they can't say anything. And then the stupid thing, and this goes back to us being graduates from like the Illinois Media School. Why are you zooming in on a screen? Like, we know that when you zoom in on the screen, it's gonna get distorted. We can't see anything. Like, what
exactly?
Like, they should have taught. Like, didn't they teach you? Like, what? Like, who? What? who's thinking of this? Yeah, they really need to work on that aspect. I think if they put in like a few wrestlers, it would
Yeah,
add to the live crowd. They're doing too much.
yeah,
The thing that's
I
what
know.
doing too much. They're doing too much of stuff that's not connecting, and they're
Mhm.
doing very little that is connecting.
Well, Dedrian, I appreciate you being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer, man. I'm sure we could go on for several more hours, but I think that's all I've got. How about you?
You know what? Every podcast I've been on, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go for like an hour," and it turns out to be 2 hours. So
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I think I got
Yeah.
another one tomorrow. I think, yeah, I think I got another one.
Oh, nice. And
So
what? Tell everybody how to follow you.
yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Dedrian180. That's Dedrian 180. Same as Twitter. That's where I post most of my wrestling content, and I might get back into doing reviews, but it's just very, this. It's very tiring,
Yes.
especially if you're covering Raw for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh God. But I do post like latest happenings and stuff like that. Like I posted the shot of Carl Anderson and Kenny Omega from yesterday's pay-per-view. So I'll post little snippets like that. But on Twitter, I mostly do live tweeting for Raw, SmackDown, and AEW. So yeah, you can follow me there. And yeah, I'm not one of the wrestling marks that take
Right.
it personal and everything. Like I know it's a work, so
Right.
it's all in the name of having fun and stuff like that, and just
Yeah.
not being snarky and just real mean to these wrestlers and stuff like that. So
Of course. Yeah, you never know. You may have an opportunity to talk to them in the future, interview them. So that's always a good idea. You
yeah,
never
I've
know
actually
and remember you.
yeah I've had USA Network. I know I got Thunder Rosa follow me. I got one of the Varnerics follow me. I got a
Oh,
few wrestling podcasts following me, and I haven't done anything. I just post reviews and like the ratings. That's it. So hey,
that's
what, man?
keep it up, man. Dedrian Colin, please come back on very soon for Pro Wrestling Forza.
Man, thank you so much. Be safe.
And you're very knowledgeable. You're a very knowledgeable, man. So it was really cool to, finally do this with you. And you're welcome back anytime. It was a blast.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. You have a good one, man.
You too, man. Everybody check out fightleague.com/wrestling. We have all our interviews up there, all of our updated, show results and it's fun stuff like this. So keep on fightleague.com/wrestling. And Dedrian, appreciate it again being on Pro Wrestling Forcer. It was a blast,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
Anytime.